On ESPN.com, you can check out our friend Kevin Pelton's piece. He covers all 30 teams in the NBA, their biggest roster holes that need to be fixed, that need to be addressed going into this upcoming season. So let's just run through a few of them with a little coast to coast here. And we're going to start our trip with the Los Angeles Lakers. Why not? We're here in LA. Let's do it. All right. The centerpieces, of course, LeBron James, Luka Doncic, fresh off that Euro run, and Austin Reeves here. Now, defensively, Kevin Pelton thinks the perimeter could be a problem. So, Brian Windhorst, is Luka going to solve some of those issues? What do they need to do here?
Yeah, I wouldn't count on Luka for it night in and night out. You know, they also lost Dorian Finney-Smith. So they tried to address this by going out and signing Jake LaRavia and Marcus Smart. Now, I know Marcus Smart's going to be the headliner there because he's a former Defensive Player of the Year. But I think the Lakers feel like Jake LaRavia is an underrated defensive player. He can guard point guards all the way down to even some power forwards. So they're going to be relying on him this year.
Next up is the Grizzlies, because Pelton pegs wing size as their biggest need. I thought this was interesting with injuries to Jaren Jackson Jr. and Zach Edey. A lot of the season, though, regardless of who you're looking at, going to fall on Ja Morant. Now, Morant recently said on TikTok that he's ready to go full 2021-22 mode. They were pretty good that year, Perk. What does Memphis need from Ja this season?
To put up or shut up, and it's definitely Ja Morant, and he's right. In 2021, 2022, he averaged 27 points a game, and then after that, he's fell off since no limit. If they want to contend and be a threat in the Western Conference, Ja Morant needs to play MVP-type basketball, 27 to 30 points a game.
And the West is tight this year. And then we have Philly. That's where Pelton identifies the power forward spot as the biggest hole in their depth chart. But Ramona, is that your biggest concern when it comes to the Sixers?
Look, I saw those videos of Joel Embiid playing basketball, which is a good sign, but we are still waiting to see how available he's going to be. Is he available like he's back and playing every day? Is he available like he's back and needs some time off in between games? That, to me, is the biggest question, because we already know Paul George is going to be delayed in starting training camp.
Well, there is really a lot of opportunity in the Eastern Conference if they are able to be healthy, but, of course, it is the biggest if every year for the Philadelphia 76ers. It's something that the Knicks are hoping that they can take advantage of, though. The Knicks' biggest need, it was more depth. And this morning, New York addressed it, at least in part, signing Malcolm Brogdon here to a one-year deal, a little flyer. The former Sixth Man of the Year averaged only 12.7 points, just over 4 assists, 3.8 rebounds in a career-low 24 games last season for the Wizards here. But it could help a little bit here for the New York Knicks. Wendy, does this Brogdon signing, what does it tell you about what New York is trying to do here?
Well, I am told that the Knicks were on Malcolm Brogdon for over 2 months, that this was a guy they really wanted to sign this summer. But Brogdon wanted to see if he could get some better offers first. He didn't. Now, this is a non-guaranteed deal. And I want to point out the Knicks signed 3 players this week. They signed Landry Shamet and Garrison Matthews. And from what I understand, the Knicks are going to have basically a competition to see which of those 3 guys can make the team. One of them is definitely going to make it. Maybe they can do 2 if they make another move. But it's going to be a training camp competition. And all 3 of these guys have been in NBA rotations in the recent past. So the Knicks definitely feel like they've upgraded their bench.
Ramona, how do you view this?
Look, they needed to upgrade their bench. Their starters led the league in minutes last year. We've heard Mikal Bridges complain about that. We've heard other players on the team kind of grouse behind the scenes on this. But it just remains, no team whose starters have led the league in minutes has made the NBA Finals since 1987.
Right.
They had to address their depth. They have to play differently. And presumably that'll fall on Mike Brown to play differently. But also it's on the roster.
And that's part of the reason they brought Mike Brown in, so that they can use this roster a little bit differently. When it's all said and done, Perk, I feel like we spent a lot of time this offseason talking about the crowded Western Conference, and rightfully so. But in the East, when it really is looking like the New York Knicks are head and shoulders, maybe along with a couple of other teams like the Cavaliers, above everybody else, how do you feel about them heading into this season?
They are. To me, they're the best team in the Eastern Conference, right? We know that the Celtics, they are somewhat in the rebuild mode. Okay, the Cavs, I don't trust them. I trust Big Body Bronson as the leader of that ball club, and they addressed the issues that they needed to address. You go and you get some bench players that's going to come in and play their role while still keeping your entire core together. We know OG Anunoby. We know what he's going to bring to the table for us being that 3-and-D guy. At times he looked like Scottie Pippen. Josh Hart, he's going to come back on the mission. Obviously, they just re-signed Mikal Bridges, and I'm looking forward to see what Karl Anthony Towns look like under a new voice of that locker room in Mike Brown. I think we're going to see the best version of him. If you ask me, I'm all in on the Knicks for us in the Eastern Conference. No slight to nobody else. I just feel like they checked all the boxes, and they're the best team in the Eastern Conference right now on paper.
I don't disagree with you in terms of being one of the best teams and checking all of the boxes. I do think it's alongside the Cleveland Cavaliers. And, Brian, I was talking to Evan Mobley the other day, ran into him in a WNBA game, and I just said to him, there is a level of maybe it's daunting when there is so much expectation and also so much opportunity when a conference is wide open in front of you to be able to be the team that runs through and seizes that. Can the Knicks do that this year?
Yeah, I mean, they've got to look around at their opportunity. Jason Tatum is going to likely miss most, if not all, of the season. Tyrese Halliburton, the same. The Cavs are dealing with several players coming off surgeries. There have been a lot of years, Malika, where the Knicks had disadvantages that they couldn't control. Now they've got the breaks breaking their way. Their team has been put together. They're built out. They are in the best position we've seen the Knicks to win the East in a generation. They have got to take advantage of this season.
I do not disagree with you on that one, my friend. Hey, as the 50-plus players, they're going to be donning new threads this upcoming season. Headlined, of course, you know his name. It's Kevin Durant. He's moving to Houston in that move that really could shake up the entire Western Conference. But that doesn't mean there aren't more deals that could be coming down the pipeline. Remember, Russell Westbrook, Al Horford, we're still watching them along with Jonathan Kuminga, Quentin Grimes, just a few notable names that have yet to put pen to paper on that new contract. Now, the domino that may actually be holding up the final stage of all of these moves, it may be restricted free agent Jonathan Kuminga. So let's bring in our NBA reporter, Anthony Slater, who is going to be covering all things Golden State Warriors for us. Can you just set the stage here, Anthony? Where do things stand between Jonathan Kuminga and the Golden State Warriors? I feel like I've been asking this question for the last couple of months.
Yeah, it has overtaken my last few months also. There's been renewed efforts, genuine efforts this week to try to get it over the finish line. I think the Josh Giddey contract, 4 years, $100 million, provided a little bit of extra motivation for the talks. But, you know, Josh, I don't think there's a misalignment between the Warriors and Kuminga side that Giddey's per year, which is around $25 million, is somewhat near what Kuminga should be. I mean, me and Shams have reported the standing 1-1 offer for $45 million that starts at 21.7. But the big difference between the two situations is Giddey signed 4 years, no team options either way. He's signing on to the Bulls to be their starting point guard of the future. That's what the Bulls want. We know the Kuminga situation doesn't have nearly the structure or relationship, backbone where the Warriors are trying to, get him on this very team-friendly deal. And Kuminga's clearly knowing he's not like Josh Giddey walking into a, guaranteed starting job. So that is what continues month after month now to halt this thing up. And, I think the public is looking at the Warriors going, hey, you still have 9 players on the roster, so the veterans must be freaking out behind the scenes. They're not. They've had communication with Mike Dunleavy. They know what the roster is going to look like. They know the dominoes that are going to fall. They're not in the dark about that. But I think they're wondering about Jonathan Kuminga's buy-in if he comes back on the qualifying offer. And their curiosity is, can this thing get done where Jonathan Kuminga can come back and be a part of this team, really without an agenda trying to push forward.
Right, and not really knowing exactly what his role is going to be, which has been a theme, frankly, for Jonathan Kuminga's time with the Golden State Warriors. So let's say that he does. He signs his qualifying offer. He comes back to the Golden State Warriors. How does that impact this Warriors' future? Because we also know the timeline that they're working with is the end of Steph Curry's prime, even though he says he's still firmly in it.
Yeah, for Kuminga, the qualifying offer pros and cons are very simple. It's financial. If he gives up the 14-something million, he gets his 2026 next summer unrestricted free agency. For the Warriors, it's more complicated. They'd tell you, hey, look, if he came back on the qualifying offer, they'd still have his bird rights next summer. They'd save probably about $70-ish million in tax, but clearly neither side wants it. The Warriors are putting offers on the table to get him away from the qualifying offer because they need two things this year. They either need Jonathan Kuminga to explode in year 5 and present them with the type of depth at the wing that they really need, or they need him on a tradable number that can go get them the type of depth, because I think we'd all agree they're kind of in the middle mix of the West. They need a little bit more, and to get more, you need Jonathan Kuminga to either be very good for you or tradable for you. And if he's on the qualifying offer, He's probably going to be neither. He has a no-trade clause, and I'm not sure that's going to be the happiest of situations.
Well, we only have a couple of weeks here for the Golden State Warriors and Jonathan Kuminga to reach an agreement, and we will be checking in with you as that continues to unfold. Slater, I really appreciate the time. Slater mentioned fans and maybe what they're thinking right now about this team. Well, it's September the 12th, and the Warriors, they still have yet to acquire a player with previous NBA experience. They remain the only team in the league that has yet to make a move like this, and this isn't really what we're accustomed to from Golden State. So, Mr. Windhorst, I ask you, how long do you think it's going to take for all of this to play out?
Well, I'm going to just point out that restricted free agent standoffs are as old as the salary cap itself. I've been around more than 20 years, and I've seen ones drag on into December, into November, into October. It doesn't actually have to be done within 2 weeks, and that's the thing that I think was going to be a part of this. I think at the end of the day, Jonathan Kuminga is going to be on the Warriors. And I think at the end of the day, Al Horford is going to be on the Warriors. And I think DeAnthony Melton is going to be on the Warriors. They are going to add to their bench. The question is he going to be on the team as a filler to just sit on their books until January when he can be traded? Or is he going to be a genuine member of the team? The most important thing, if you look at the two numbers on the bottom of the screen right now, $8 million versus over $20 million that he would be getting, that delta is such a big number that the Warriors are betting that he's not going to want to leave it. Of course, he's going to posture that he will leave it and take the qualifying offer, and it goes back into the stalemate. But I'm sorry to tell you, this could go on for a really long time. There's no rule that says he has to make up his mind by the start of training camp.
So I wonder, let's just say Kuminga does end up signing the one-year qualifying offer. It would essentially make this season a showcase, right? That's what Slater was just saying, for an unrestricted free agency next summer. Perk, you've been in these locker rooms. What does that do? What does that mean for a locker room if that's the path of a player?
Well, it means a lot, and especially when it's going to affect a locker room that's trying to win or have intentions on winning a championship. And I don't know if Jonathan Kuminga is watching NBA today, but they don't want you, dog. They don't value you, because if they did, you wouldn't be going through this. And it started last season. Steve Kerr showed you how he felt about you when you were out the rotation during the play-in tournament in the first couple of games in the first round against the Rockets. And I understand Mike Dunleavy is now running things for us in the front office, him and Joe Lacob, but that wasn't Jonathan Kuminga wasn't Mike Dunleavy pick. That was Bob Myers' pick. So, again, when you look at this situation, it's going to cause turmoil in the locker room if you bring him back, if he at $7.9 million, because he's going to go out there and play individual basketball. And it's hard for me to tell a young guy not to go out there and get his numbers, because I know he wants to get paid. So at the end of the day, you have one guy who's going to be playing agenda basketball. You're going to have a team that's led by three vets, probably three future Hall of Famers, that's going to be leading their team and preaching agenda-free basketball. So there's the problem.
I don't know how, if you have somebody on television saying, hey, Kuminga, they don't want you as their message. If you're Steve Kerr, how do you coach this situation?
I mean, I think he knows. He has to feel that he was out of the rotation, right? When they don't play you, you don't feel like they want you. But what we have here is a misalignment between the front office and ownership about a player's value to the organization and the coaching staff. And on Steve Kerr's, in his rotations on a team that's trying to win every single year, you got to earn your spot. And it just didn't work out last year when Jimmy Butler joined the team. They just got to a place where they felt like they couldn't have them on the court at the same time. Now, he was big for them when Jimmy Butler was out, but this is going to be one of Steve Kerr's biggest challenges as a head coach. It could have been solved a long time ago if they would have included him in some of the trades they were trying to. They could have got Alex Caruso a couple years ago if ownership and if the front office had been willing to include Kuminga, but they didn't, and so we are here now, and Steve Kerr's going to have a fun time with this one.
And what is the issue for the Golden State Warriors year after year? It's been the non-Steph Curry minutes, right? When Steph was hurt in the playoffs last year, Jonathan Kuminga, he did step up in a huge way. We've had this conversation, though, many, many times, and the Warriors haven't seemed to change their stance on the way that they play Kuminga. You can see it right here last season when Steph was not on the floor. Kuminga really did step up, and so now this is going to have to play out with their front office. The Today Show yesterday, and he was discussing how he's extended his prime, and he said this, quote, "I'm going into year 17 and really have this belief that I can be at the top of my game again and win at the highest level." He is 37 years old. He led the league in three-point shooting last year. Brian, do you believe that Steph can still reach that apex level here?
I do. I think he was fabulous last year. You know, he has been on the All-NBA team 11 straight times when he's been eligible. That 1 year where he had the injuries, only played 5 games. Other than that, 11 straight years. He's led the league in three-pointers in 4 of the last 5 seasons. He actually had the second best free throw season of his career last year. His physical conditioning is excellent. Okay, he may not be in his prime anymore. No, the Warriors no longer have the best roster in the NBA, which they did throughout a big portion of his career. But I see no reason to believe Steph Curry is going to materially slow down anytime soon. And if I was a Warriors fan, I would be very excited by those comments.
Very excited about those comments. A little concerned about the construction of your team. I think the biggest thing that will help Steph Curry is getting some help. Send the man some help. Now, we know that the big issue going into, I guess, the midway point for the Golden State Warriors was winning the non-Steph Curry minutes.
Right.
Add Jimmy Butler, and they started winning. Just a little bit of bad luck towards the end of the playoffs. But still, they need to find a third star so that he can really cook. We know Draymond Green's there as a facilitator, but Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry, and someone. Now, I know the asterisk is around Jonathan Kuminga, that situation, figuring that out, navigating that. But if they're able to find that star and improve, that is where Steph Curry will truly shine. He can do bad all by himself, but we want him to continue to elevate and, play these meaningful games, and so that will take a team effort.
Right, and when you look at the fact that it was Steph Curry who said after he won Finals MVP, who's that? Who's that?
But I'm saying we already know. We already know about Steph. We already know about Steph. This is not an individual sport. This is not golf. This is not tennis. You need a team, right? And not only do you need the team to help you win the championship, because that's what Steph is trying to do towards the last part of his career, is bring home number 5. You need to limit the distractions. And right now, it's still a distraction right now for the Golden State Warriors and Jonathan Kuminga. So, Nate, you just alluded to, you just talked about it, right? What are they going to do with him? They need a third star. Can he be that third star? A guy that you drafted in the lottery, a guy that shows he has a promising future, and you're still in the midst right now of having turmoil with this young man for his contract negotiation. He don't feel wanted. I don't know if he wants to be there. I don't know if Steve Kerr really wants him to be there. I don't know if Steve Kerr really believes in him. So when you talk about Steph Curry, we know he's going to do what he's supposed to do. He's going to max out. But again, you need the organization not to have distractions. And right now, this is a huge distraction, and you don't need that going into this season, into training camp.
Perk, you basically want Jonathan Kuminga, his presence to be felt, right? For them to make a decision. I thought you would come in Debo in this segment. You just were like allow me to reintroduce. I thought you were gonna come in stronger, Perk.
You know what?
Came in too smooth with
It's
it.
only Thursday. We still got another show for him to make sure to reach that level. But since you brought it up, that 1-year qualifying offer, $7.9 million, right? That's what's on the table. And that would give Jonathan Kuminga an implied no trade clause and allow him to become an unrestricted free agent. That's next season. So Kuminga, the clock's ticking. He has until October 1st to sign that qualifying offer, or they could agree on a longer deal, but that hasn't come to fruition in the last couple of months, and time is getting pressed. So, Brian, how much of Golden State's success this season do you think is going to hinge on what happens with Kuminga? Because we certainly have been talking about it a lot.
I think it's what happens with Kuminga's salary slot. And so that's what the real thing is here. Kuminga has not been able to establish himself with a solid role. And when he's often been at his best, it's when the other Golden State Warriors players haven't necessarily been on the court. And so what the Warriors have been trying to do here, although they would never announce this, is they're trying to sign Jonathan Kuminga to a contract that enables them to trade him, because they know he does have value elsewhere in the league. Kuminga naturally wants to be paid like he has proven of his talent. And so that's why they've been at loggerheads, especially in a market that is closed to free agency. Free agency is essentially over. And so I do believe that Kuminga is going to start this season on the Warriors.
Yeah.
And I do believe there is still a window for him to get a multi-year deal. However, I understand why both sides are dug in.
I agree with you. I do believe that Jonathan Kuminga is going to start the season on the Golden State Warriors, but this is a team that hasn't been able to make any other free agency moves because they've sort of been waiting on this domino to fall, and they've been waiting a long time. But while we're talking about Steph, Perk, there's something else I would love to get your thoughts on here, because he said, again, this is on the Today Show, that I think this is the most skilled era of basketball history. So, Perk, what do you think of that?
Ooh. Steph dropping the hot tape, you know what I think of.
I think it's time
for
one
of
Big
them.
Perk's big list.
Damn it, it's not your list. It's Big Perk's list. There's actually rules to this, okay? You will speak when spoken to. Give me some energy. Bam. That's it. Bam! 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 Put it up there. It's not your list. It's mine.
Janae, you wanted Debo? Well, damn it, I'm going to give it to you right now. This my list, Punk. This my list, Punk. Big Perk's big list of best skills in the NBA right now. Wendy, Shanae, Malika, y'all know the routine. Damn it, you will speak when spoken to, and you will bring the energy that is needed. Otherwise, you would not be part of this segment again. Coming in at number 5. Bam! Put it up there. SGA averaged 30 over the last 3 seasons, shooting over 50% from the field. You know why? Because he brought the mid-range shot back, and it is a skill, a high-level skill, the best to do it, for us being able to create space and be able to put the moves and get into his bag to shoot efficiently from the mid-range spot. SGA 6'6", a monster, usually guarded by tough defenders. He's number 5 on my list. Wendy, where you at? I need you for number 4.
Perk, I've been waiting all summer for this. Bam!
I know you have. I know you have. Jokic, the big fella, one of the most, if not the most skilled big to ever play the game of basketball. You know why? It's not because of the feathery touch around the basket. It's because of the dimes he be dropping off. His passing. He is the best passing big man we've ever seen. Averaged a triple-double last year. You want the lobs? He got that. You want the no-looks? You want the passes out of the dribble, handoff out of the post-ups? Jokic, the big fella, first team all-whack body, is at number 4. Sinead, I'm coming to you. I need number 3 up here, girl. And
Here
I
we
need
go.
the energy.
Let me warm myself up. Bam!
Put it up there. Steph, the greatest shooter of all time. Yes, we talk about knowing he can knock down shots. We know that he can finish around the basket, but those handles are elite. Right under Kyrie Irving, if you ask me. It's no taking the rock from Steph Curry. You talk about the green eye assassin, that's him. With the handles, put anybody on the island and mix it up, doing it at his best. Number 3, Steph Curry, is on my list. Malika, where you at? I need your energy here for number 2,
Since we're talking
girl. Bring
Debo,
it.
since we're talking Friday, bye Felicia, bam!
Hey!
And we talking Rockets, the wrestler, KD, because of his ability, Mr. 50, 40, 90, to be able to create and get buckets out of the isolation at 7 foot. I don't care if you talk about he's 6'11", the man's 7 foot, right? We've never seen this before. It don't matter who you put on them, double team, triple team, you know my name, it's KD. Now coming in at number 1. Number 1 right here, I think we all agree. Bam! Put it up there. Kyrie Irving. The most skilled player to ever play the game of basketball. We know he got the handles at 6'2", 6'3", the post work, but it's the finishing around the basket, playing below the rim, amongst the trees. Nobody does it like Kyrie Irving. You want the right hand finishes, the reverse lays, he giving you that. You want the left hand finish, left hand floaters at the rim, he's giving you that. Again, this is my list, punk, like Debo say. Big Perks, big list of best skills in the NBA right now.
I have 2 things up for consideration, Perk. I know you're sweating, so I'm gonna give you a
I
moment
was
to cool
wondering
down.
where that
Yeah.
skill
I have
ran.
2 skills, but very high on Perk's list, okay? The first skill is, what about like two-way player, defender, adding that? Because SGA also was top in steals, but also the MVP.
Yeah.
So that's 1. And then 2, are we just missing out on like basketball IQ? I think about LeBron James, the reason why he's entering, what year is it, 22, 23? Where we at? Yeah. Like, IQ is still a very valuable skill, right?
I'm interested that it's
But
Kyrie.
who you taking off?
Oof, don't make me play with that.
I'm just suggesting.
No, this is Shanae's honor with the 2023 award winner, Cooper Flagg and Paolo Banchero. They were both on campus at Duke taking part in scrimmages. This was against this season's Blue Devils. So, Wendy, which of these former #1 picks are you looking forward to watching most this season?
Well, if I was Duke, I would be asking Paolo for a donation. He just signed a $200 million contract. But what I'd really like to know, what skills is Cooper Flagg working on? Because as you look at the Mavericks roster, without Kyrie Irving, they've got all these bigs and all these wings. He might be playing some point guard this year.
Yep.
Watch out for that.
I am hearing the same. Can I interest you in another former #1 overall pick, Anthony Edwards? He took some batting practice at Target Field, but he's wearing loafers. Did you think the loafers maybe would be the secret to a good swing?
No, because that's a horrible swing. That's a horrible stance. You know what I mean? He can't really, you got to go back and watch my video. Where my videos at?
There
Here we go. Here we go. First, you got to have, look at me ready. Come on, hold on. Watch it. You got to watch the play, watch the ball. There we go. Get up on there, big fella.
Yeah. Elevate that ball.
I think we should get you a pair of loafers and see how that affects your swing. Looking good, Big Perk. Finally, another top pick, Victor Wembanyama, the Spurs. They surprised Tom Moore High School in support of those affected by the Central Texas flood this past summer. And Victor, he blocked the shot of a student. Then, Shanae, look at this. Proceeded to dunk on him. That's a brave high schooler, though.
I love that because you can say, hey, I played one-on-one. I played ones with Victor Wembanyama. Shout out to the Spurs. This is how you make lifelong fans, how you make core memories, and you don't give free buckets, easy buckets. So, yeah, when we do camps, nobody gets it easy. I like it, Victor.
But that's the next question. When you say, yeah, I played one-on-one with Victor, the natural next question is going to be, how'd you do? And then you're going to have to pull up that video.
Yeah, that's true, but at least you try.
Well, NBA players, they can probably empathize with that student, right? Because Wemby blocked 28 more shots last season than any other player in the league, and that's after missing the last 36 games. Now, recently, Wemby did this call to action for a special group of Spurs fans. Take a listen.
We all know Spurs fans are the loudest. We're creating a new supporter section in the First Bank Center, and hopefully, this gives them the chance to express how much they're into it, and also give us that extra edge and help us win games at home. This is why we need the craziest fans to show up September 14th for the tryouts.
So there's tryouts. If this all pans out, the Spurs Arena, it'll be rocking. If those season ticket holders maybe can recreate a EuroLeague type of atmosphere.
You saw them try to do that with the wall, right?
Yeah, exactly. With the wall, it's kind of come naturally.
Clippers.
Utah in a lot of ways. But Perk, while we wait to see who gets through these first rounds of tryouts, is San Antonio, is that the team that you'd most want season tickets for? If you were going to try out to be in a fan section here, or is there another player, another team that you would want to watch for 41 games?
I'm going wherever the Kane get, LeBron. That's still the best ticket in the house. He is the best ticket in the house. Damn it. Wherever he's at, that's what I want to see. He will not disappoint. You want the IQ, he's going to give you that. You want the highlights on defensively and offensively, Brian giving you that. And if you just want to see what a guy looks like at 6'9", 260 pounds, pushing the rock with force, with speed, he's always must-see TV, especially up close in person.
But Perk, what city is your actual house in?
It's at H-Town.
Thank you. That's my answer. The price has gone up. And we're talking about these legends. We talked about Steph earlier in the show. You just mentioned LeBron James. How about Kevin Durant? We know the energy is going to be there in Houston. Alfred Şengün is doing his thing, representing international competitively. But overall, this is the moment that the Rockets, we've been waiting for. And I say we because you guys know where I stand. Yeah. This has been like the best opportunity for a squad since what? James Harden, 2017, 2018. So yeah, give me them tickets.
It's the Rockets for Shanae. Brian, if they ever let you out of the media room, where would you want season tickets to?
Well, maybe those guys can afford tickets in those big markets, but I'll stay in the upper Midwest and go to the Timberwolves because I'm going to watch Ant Edwards every chance I get. And Ant Edwards is always must-see, and I guarantee he will do something every single game that you will remember.
I don't disagree with that, but where is it that every player plays their best? Where is it that we always see a special show? It's Madison,